I'm really excited about my next guest because I've been a fan of this artist for many years. I wouldn't say many years because she's young. She hasn't been around that long, but I've been a fan since I've heard about her. And it's somebody who I've been very curious about in a whole bunch of different ways. From Uxbridge, Ontario, Robyn Ottolini.
Hi. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I really am stoked because well, I'll get into it because there's so much about your story that I just find pretty interesting. But let's start with Uxbridge, which may not be the place you want to start. I don't know, but I went to law school in Ontario, and my wife's from Aurelia.
Nice.
And we have a cottage in the Muskoka. So I'm in various parts of Ontario a lot more than many people from Vancouver. Um, and I remember Uxbridge, not well, but I kind of remember it being this sort of, for lack of a better way of putting it, I guess, sort of upper middle class, sort of sleepy kind of, not a commuter city because it was a little too far really
hmm
from Toronto to commute,
And
right?
when did you visit Uxbridge?
The last time, well, I went to law school in the late 80s.
Okay.
I'm old, but I feel like I've been there since. Because again, I spend most of my summers in Ontario, but I think it's been a while. I'm going to say I haven't been there in at least 10 years.
Okay, wow. Okay. I'm like I've been there since well my parents got their house there in 97. So I was there when it was, yeah, there was no Quaker Village, there was no Walmart, like it was just the one main street, and then obviously it started to build around it. But we've been there, yeah, I don't, how long is that's like 28 years. So I've seen Uxbridge grow my whole life. So I was like, when were you there? Because it wasn't too sleepy in my teens and early 20s. It was a very musical town, which is so great. Not too much country music. Like there was like a lot of like rock, a lot of ska, and folky music, but tons of open mic nights, tons of performance opportunities, fairs, rib fest, breweries, bars, anything. And yeah, it was awesome. My mom didn't commute far, I don't believe. She worked in the school system, but my dad was a trucker, so he would drive into the city every day. So
Got
yeah,
you.
that's what so I was like, I wonder when he was there because yeah, it's like, is it sleepy? Like we got a lot of blue collar there, but I think it is getting it well, it is way more expensive now than when my parents moved there.
Good place to grow up.
For me, it was dope. I loved it personally. I grew up in the country and had awesome neighbors that were my friends that were around my age. So we grew up playing in the woods, snowball fights, tobogganing, four wheeling, swamps, ponds. Very adventurous childhood mixed in with video games because I did love The Sims and Roller Coaster Tycoon and Zoo Tycoon when I was a kid. But yeah, I had a very outdoorsy childhood, which was awesome.
Not to put you on the spot, or I guess maybe to put you on the spot, can you name three celebrities from Uxbridge other than yourself?
Okay. That guy from Star Wars lives there.
I love that. I love that Hayden Christensen is from
Hayden
Uxbridge.
Christensen. I was like, I can't tell you his name. He
Does
lives
he
there.
live there now? Does he live there now?
I don't know. I don't stalk the guy, but
Well, you should.
he was there most. I should, yeah. He was there most of the time I lived there. I think. Who else? I mean, in my heart, Leah Daniels, another country singer. She is.
Yes, I knew that.
Probably some hockey player. Mason Marchman. He went to high school with me. He was in the NHL for a hot sec.
No, I think he's still in. He's on the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Is he? Okay, sweet.
And then his father, Brian Marchment, also an NHL player.
I did not know that about Mr. Mason.
And the only other one I had was Gary Roberts, just another famous hockey player. So lots of hockey players.
It's just a hockey town.
I mean, what a crazy thing. All these hockey players and Darth Vader.
And that's called balance.
That's right, exactly. Now, the first time I remember hearing about you was when you put out the song F-150. I have some funny memories about that. One memory I have is you obviously know Dallas Smith.
Yep.
I've known Dallas for 27 years or something. And of course, he was signed to my label. He was on 604 for all those classic albums.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're still pals. And
Somewhere.
exactly. So I remember him calling me. Have you heard this song? Have you heard this song? Do you know who this girl is? Have you? He was freaking out. Now, if I remember, and I could be so off on this, God knows the older I get, the worse my memory gets. But I seem to have a recollection that he maybe even was going to try and sign you to his label.
Yeah, the weekend I flew out to meet him was the same weekend that F-150 went viral. So I had a few more knocks come along on my door from some US labels. And so I just started taking meetings, and I eventually landed with Warner Music Nashville back in 2020. But yeah, Dallas, before it went viral, he was like, this song is dope. And I said, thank you very much.
Yes, I do remember him. He sort of, and I sort of have been around long enough to go, because I took a look at it too, and I went, well, shit, it's a great song. But when something's already gone viral, it's too late for my label. I just, I don't, I'm not afraid to spend money, but I can't spend money on an upfront, like, a major label can. But I remember hearing very quickly, like it went very quickly from Dallas was interested, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, she signed this big deal in Nashville.
It was a whirlwind. It was crazy. It seems like yesterday and yet so long ago, which is nice. I feel like I've grown a lot since then.
I've been around a long time, and I've worked with a lot of artists who've been on major labels, and were distributed by a major label. Major labels have been a big part of my life, so I know all sides of it. I think the good, the bad, the ugly, and I do remember thinking at the time when I heard like, oh, there's bidding war, and she signed this huge deal, and I remember my first reaction was like, uh-oh. Like, oh boy, here we go. And a lot of people don't realize, I mean, it's a dream for so many people to sign a major label deal, and I understand that. And I'm not saying this about you at all, because I don't know your story, but for a lot of people, they sign a major label deal, and it's the worst thing that ever happens to their career. You never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, how, looking back on it now, you have a little bit of perspective. How do you look at that period of time?
I mean, I think it was a catalyst for my career. I think if I didn't sign that deal, I never would have been able to, move down to the States, get the visa, have a house, get my dog, get a car. So I think that deal was important no matter how it shook out. I got to put out songs with a major label. I got to experience it, how it works. The growth that came from it was insane, what I like and what I don't like. And I learned very, very fast, about my career and what I actually wanted and what I didn't want, and who I wanted to be surrounded with and who I didn't want to be surrounded with, what is actually a good fit for the kind of music I do. So I feel like, and I'm never someone really who regrets anything in life. I'm very much like, oh, I had to experience that in order to be who I am now. So I have, no ill will or anything towards that deal. I think it changed my life, put me on the map, and allowed me to release some bangers. And now I'm independent again. I know exactly what I want to do. My vision's never been clearer. And it's because I've, experienced that and gone through the ringer. I've gone to the highest highs and I've gone to the lowest lows.
Would you want to be on a major label again? Or is it sort of, because I mean, there's a lot of artists these days who are like, why would I sign a record deal at all?
Yeah.
I can put out my own music. I can make it myself. I can get it up online.
I think it really depends where my career is, what leverage I hold, what I need. I think labels are still very good at supporting a radio career. If I want a number one at radio, I think it would be and it's been done. So I'm not saying I couldn't do it independent, but it is much easier to tackle radio, especially in the US, with a major label behind you. But I think the way my creativity works and my brain works, I'm definitely more of a boutique kind of, service. And especially with social media being such a a prevalent part of my marketing strategy and my personality and my brand, that it doesn't always coincide well with a major label and like their slower pace of working. I'm a very fast pace. I want it done. I want to put out art. I love it. So I think right now for my career, going boutique and distribution and label services and that era is, much more my speed. And I think if I like build my career up to that point where like I want to go to radio and I believe I can make it to number one, then yeah, that's when I start shaking those hands. But you got to be smart and, you don't want to shake a hand too early and then be shelved or not be the biggest priority. I want to build my career in a way that like I am a big priority. And when I shake a hand, it's because you can do something for me. But until then, I would like to do everything for myself.
I think one thing I find interesting about the fact that you sort of, ended up getting signed to a major early in your career is when I listen to your music or I look at your socials or your videos, um, you strike me as an artist who, for I guess a lack of a better way of putting it, kind of just is who she is. I never sense that you're following a trend. I never sense that you give a shit about what else is going on. It's almost like, it's so personal. It comes across so personal and so like this was just the mood I was in that day, or this is, you know what I mean? Like there's something
Yeah.
very authentic about you, which is what I really like. You look at the pictures, you don't look like a typical country artist. You don't sing like a typical country artist. Um, you're not afraid to say fuck and shit in your songs. I mean, there's stuff like that for me, I just like, it just comes across very authentic to me, which is, one reason I've been a fan for so long. Um, but that's also something that can sort of make it harder to sort of survive in major label land.
I'm really bad at faking it, to be honest. Life is so short, and I just grew up with very like funny, honest parents that are just like, do you? Who cares what people think? So yeah, I guess it just rubbed off on me, and I just love creation. I have passion for it. I do it because I love it. If I didn't love music, I wouldn't do it. And all that to say, I wouldn't put something out that I'm like, oh, but this will get me farther. I care about paying for my house and paying for my dog's food and, not not having to work a normal job. And I realize I am a product at the end of the day, but I'm also like, I do this because I really love it. And this is what I really feel. And yeah, I wouldn't do it if I was just singing basic songs that anybody else could sing, because what's the point? And I love
Yep.
having a point. I love having a point to anything.
Listen, I always say the best art. I mean, it's funny because country music is a genre where people don't tend to give a shit who wrote the song, um, which is interesting because that makes it different than a lot of other genres where,
See, I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like nobody cares who writes pop songs or rap songs, but country songs, if an artist doesn't write it, I feel like people are weird about it. But maybe that's just what I see.
well, that's really interesting. I mean, I would agree with you on pop, maybe not so much on hip hop, and certainly not on rock or alternative. But I guess the reason I said that is there's a whole industry in Nashville of people who write songs for other people. And for a
Yeah.
lot of artists who don't write, it's all about song shopping and grabbing a song. And who do you know in Nashville that's going to give you a song? Which is interesting. I've always found that less interesting than when people write their own songs. I mean, to me, honesty is what sells art. And I would have trouble with that if I was singing a song I didn't write.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess you can, although obviously we're going to be talking about a song that you did for a compilation for us that obviously you didn't write. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in fact, let's talk about that. So when I found out you had agreed to do the compilation, I was thrilled. I was so excited. And that song is such a great song. But I'm curious, is it the kind of thing where you just love Disney stuff? Was there something about that song in particular that you've always loved? I'm just sort of curious your connection to that song.
Well, John, I love Disney. I'm a big Disney girl. I grew up in a Disney family. We watched the Disney parade for Christmas morning every year growing up. My dad, always took us or got the VHS and we watch it. So I've grown up loving, you know, princesses and Mulan and Hercules and Little Mermaid, and I could sing a song from almost any Disney movie. If you just name it now, I could do it. And I've always loved Hercules, and I've loved Megara, the character of the song. That I'm allowed to say what song I'm doing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm doing a Megara song from Hercules called "I Won't Say I'm in Love," and I always said, "Whoop!" If I ever got into acting, which I want to do, I would die to play Megara. She is like the Disney princess that I connected with the most. She's got a lower voice, you know. She doesn't swoon or anything over Hercules. She's very much like, he is a man, I am a woman, and I don't care how strong he is, you know? And so I've always loved her. I feel like her or like this song that I did, "I Won't Say I'm in Love," is very on brand for me. So yeah, I love Disney. I love Megara. I'm a damsel. I'm in distress. Move along. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's an interesting song, and your version's interesting. Because I don't know how many cover versions you've listened to. There are quite a few out there.
I think I
When
only
you
listen to Ariana Grande's.
Now that one's so interesting to me because of all the ones out there, I'd say that's the one that feels closest to your version.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Largely because, like, if you look at it from the original movie, or if you see it when it's done on Broadway, that chorus is such a call and response kind of
No
chorus,
chance, no way. Yeah.
right? And it's usually being sung by a group of women who aren't the main singer. Like in this case, you're singing both parts.
Well,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. And that was interesting because my producer, he is a man. And so I kind of got him to do it at the start, and it was me singing and then a male friend being like, "Dude, you're in love." And then we put my voice on it, correct? And so it's interesting. It's almost like I'm talking to my inner monologue, which I do often as a human. And I'm like, I won't say I'm in love. And it's like, Robyn, you're in love. Like, grow up. And then it's like, I won't do it. And it's just like that inner battle, you know, with yourself, which is kind of
which
funny.
I think makes your version really unique. Like, because like I said, it's when you look at the versions online or listen to them on Spotify or Apple or whatever, including the original, you really get that sense more. It's the protagonist is singing the song, and then it's the people in the background who are kind of adding the commentary to what she's saying.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting spin to have you singing both parts to it. I also find your version a lot more rhythmically consistent because it's one of those stop and start songs that when you usually hear it, that's in part because it comes from a movie and it comes from a play. So, and it feels that way. Like when you hear the song, it feels like something you'd hear on Broadway. Like it's kind of got that sort of feel to it, um,
Yeah.
which I think is interesting. But I also think that your music has a conversational element to it. Like when
Oh, for
you
sure.
Yeah, when you sing a song or when you write a song that you've written, it almost has that vibe like you're sitting on a bench talking to someone about sort of what's going on with you, which is why I thought that this choice was perfect.
Yeah. That's so true. I feel like a lot of my songwriting literally just comes from me talking to myself. A lot of my ideas come from just thinking about what I'm going through and then spitting it out. Even like recently, last year, I wrote a song called Airplane Bottle. And that was just me telling my co writers what the date happened. And it's like, he brought an airplane bottle of vodka in his pocket and poured it in his drink and said, "Don't judge me for it," which is crazy. And then songs like that, and even F-150 is like, "Then I see an F-150 and all the memories of you just hit me." That's because I saw an F-150 and all the memories of him just hit me, and it was driving me insane. So I just had to have a conversation with myself to get over it. So I love "I Won't Say I'm in Love" because yeah, it's a conversation. It's like, I'm not gonna do this thing. You can't make me. But then it's like, girl, don't kid yourself. You're in love. And I've just always loved the song. I love the theatrics of it. I love Disney songs.
I'm not going to say it's my favorite song on the compilation because that'll piss other people off.
But
Actually, fuck it, I'm going to say it.
I know.
It's
But I'll know. I'm reading
No,
what
you'll know.
you're putting down.
Exactly. Plus, it's absolutely my favorite version of that song.
My manager and producer like listen to the Disney song and they're like, but it's a country Disney cover song. And they're like, how do we even make this country? Like, how do you hear this, Robyn? Like, I don't think we can do this song. And I said, listen here, this is my dream song. We're doing this song and this is how we're going to do it. And I picked up my guitar and just started like the picking pattern, like very old country, you know? And I was like, let's go country with it. It doesn't have to sound, it doesn't have to have like these violins and this very theatrical vibe. If you listen to the lyrics, it's a country song.
Right.
So do it
Agreed.
country. Yeah.
Yep.
And so once I kind of played it on guitar in the room, they were like, oh, like we never would have thought of doing it like that. And I was just like, no, let's do it. And I love it. I like how it turned out.
Because you've mentioned the producer, who was the producer?
Lenny Pay.
Okay, give him a little credit, a little shout out.
He's dope.
And listen, I always like to give people a chance on the podcast to promote anything that they're doing. So, what do you have coming up? You have songs you're dropping, you have shows you're playing.
I just dropped a demo that I made on Spotify. It's called Growing Down. I teased the demo on TikTok in December and it went viral, which is crazy. It has right now 19,000 videos made to the song.
Wow.
And it was just a demo that I made with my guitar. So I put that out and we're going to drop a fully produced version shortly, but people just loved it so much and it took off and had a life of its own. And so we just put out the demo version and it is very imperfect, but people really resonated with the message. And the message is all about like, I was told a lot in my 20s in life to like grow up. And I am simply a person who doesn't like to be told what to do. Don't tell me to grow up. And anyway, but I wrote a whole EP called Growing Up to Do. And then I got new management and my new management was like, what's your next music going to be? Where do you go after growing up? And I said, I'm growing down. Okay. That's where I'm going. And I was like, what does growing down mean? And I like started thinking about it and I brought it into a write. And to me, growing down is like going deeper into yourself. And it's not standing still or getting stuck or being rooted, but it's being so rooted in who you are and what you believe. And it's like, yes, you grew up and you tried new things and you experimented. And then growing down is after you've experimented, it's growing back into who you are. And it's like, okay, and now this is what I stand on and these are the hills I'm going to die on. So yeah, it's a very impactful song and it's the beginning of a new journey for me in my era of music. So a produced version's coming. And then I got some shows coming up and I'm working towards an album, debut album.
Debut album? Have you never released a full album?
I've never released a full album, John. Isn't that crazy?
With Warner, did you do an EP then?
Yeah, we did a single, an EP, and then another single, and then went our separate ways. And then I did another single and EP, and then last year I did all singles. So this year I would really like an album under my belt. But, and again, I feel like this is perfect timing, John, because I don't think I would have loved an album that I put out if I put it out 3 years ago. But I know I'm going to love this album. I know exactly what I want. I know I can see it so clearly in my mind. And I'm just so happy that I had all roadblocks and no's and doors in my face because now my debut album is going to be exactly as it should. And that's on timing.
That's great. I mean, honestly, that's funny how sometimes things work out that way. I mean, it almost sounds like everything that happened kind of happened to lead you here.
100%. I'm very excited.
Okay, well, listen, I should say a couple more things. The album that we're putting out is called Once.
I was like, oh yeah, and this song's coming out. That's something else that's going on with me.
That is going on. So the album is Once Upon a Country Song. It is some great country artists covering Disney songs, including Robyn Ottolini covering I Won't Say I'm in Love, which was, by the way, written by Alan Menken, who is kind of a legendary Disney composer, has written all sorts of those amazing Disney songs. And that comes out on March 13th. And Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. I always get in trouble because I always forget I'm supposed to say certain things at the end of the podcast, so I got to remember to say them. Okay,
Don't get in trouble.
I'm looking at my producer.
You're like, tell me what to say.
Like, follow, share, etc., and so forth. There's lots of episodes up there. You can listen everywhere that you listen to podcasts. You can watch it on YouTube. And then you can know that it's real. You'll see that Robyn is really here. It's not an AI generated version. It's actually Robyn Ottolini.
In the
Robyn,
flesh.
thank you so much. A real thrill to meet you, truly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I love Disney. So thank you for having me on this album.